Hey everyone, it's Adele and April from Just Say Scrap with Close to My Heart, and we are here with our 61st Technique Tuesday. So we are going to be jumping right into today's technique, so here we go.
Pie!
So Technique Tuesday today is going to be a little bit different because we are going to be pulling in a bunch of different techniques that we've done in the past, showing you a little bit more on a few other things. Some things we're going to rush over a little bit because we haven't explained them in full, but we're going to come back to those techniques. But basically, our main technique of the day is going to be called boxing. If you would like to explain that any more than I can, I guess it's really just showing them how to do it, right?
Yes, and her boxing means my weaving. So.
Oh, well, okay. She calls it weaving. I call it boxing. You'll see what we mean. Okay, I'll use your technical name. We are going to be weaving paper, basically. So, this might look like a pizza pie to you, but we're actually going to make it into a regular pie. So we're actually creating a part for a background page that when you will see it done, it will actually be in 2 of our 6x12 flip flaps as an opener page. So, are you ready to show them what we're gonna do?
Yes, I am.
All right, so let's move our pizza, or it's our pie, our cherry pie, out of the way. We're basing this off of Waitress today. That's our theme. And so we have our all-purpose mat. Remember, this is the non-stick slip side. So that's gonna go towards the base so it doesn't slide. And I always like to work on our Versa mat. And we have our toffee colored paper. This is our darker side. Ooh, just kidding. This is our darker side. We are going to be using the light side on it. All right, Mom, take it away.
All right, so the first thing we want to do, because we want to add a little texture to this paper, is take our spray gun. Pen. Spray pen, sorry. I filled it with some water.
These come in packs of 3s.
Yes, and I'm just going to spritz the paper.
So also what you can do is you'll actually be seeing us using the re-inkers later, but you can put your re-inker inside of your spray pen. I'm pretty sure we've done a technique on this before, haven't we?
And then I'm going to take this paper. I'm just going to sprinkle both sides a little bit. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to crunch it up.
Don't be afraid to crunch your paper.
Don't be afraid to crunch it. We want to distress it a little.
Our paper is very, very thick, so you might have to uncrumple it and
re-crumple it. Yeah. So I just want to, it's fun too. You get if you're mad, you can get your anger out.
She's not mad, I promise.
Oh, I'm not mad at all. And I think this is the lighter side now.
Yes. Okay. And if it rips a little, that's just part of your texture.
Part of the distressing.
Ooh, it's wet. I can feel it.
Yeah, you would like to do this and set it aside to dry completely before doing this, but...
Well, we can do that. Let's put it aside and we'll move on to the middle of our pizza pie while I'm at it.
And I just want to say you can...
Pizza pie. It's not a pizza pie. It's a cherry pie.
It's a cherry pie. So, while she's going to the cherry pie, I just want to show you this. When you can actually take your hair dryer and dry it up if you
or
like.
Your craft mat. Just make sure you don't burn it.
Your
craft heater.
Right.
Okay, so basically we have that, and what we're going to take with that is we're going to take our sponge as well onto that. But before I do that, I also want to add a little bit of texture to our inside of our pie. So this is our ruby. You can see the dark color, but we are using the lighter side. And I have our older ruby ink. We have the new ones, just like the magnets, which you're going to see with the toffee. But our our sponges actually come as a full sponge. So we cut it up, and if you see, this is dyed. This isn't even colorful anymore. But how to clean these, which I think we've also done in a video before, is you just take water and run it under a faucet or something like that, and it will clean.
Right, and if you have a particularly dark or tough ink to clean off of it, you could use a little bit of your dish detergent and squish it, and a lot of the color, it will until it runs clear. So the color may stay on your sponge like this one, because this was a very dark color. That was a sapphire we used, but it will not transfer anymore.
And you might get inky while you're doing this.
Yes. This is a
messy technique.
messy project.
But that's okay. So do you see how I just kind of spread that sponge over this? We're going to do more with this, so I'm going to leave that. We're going to come back to our toffee. And if I get a little bit of ruby from my fingers on this, I'm actually not going to, it's not going to matter as much because you will see in the end. But this is just getting some texture. I'm doing exactly what I did to the flat piece of paper to this.
Right, and we are using
toffee.
our toffee ink. Oh, I'm sorry, did you say that
I
already?
did say that.
I wasn't paying attention.
I'm doing the toffee on the toffee, but we are doing the two-toned color of each of these. So, and as you can see, this is actually being crumpled even more as I'm doing this because it's crumpling in my hand. But we're gonna do this. You don't have to get it perfect, as you'll see, because this is gonna be broken down in a little bit, but I wanna try to get as much on the edges as I can too, and spread the wealth. Think that looks good?
I think it's good.
All right, so now we're going to remove our all-purpose mat, and we are going to pull in our Fiskars cutter. So remember, pop off your scoring blade. We always keep our scoring blade on here just so we don't lose it. And what we're gonna do is make sure that's unlocked.
And hopefully the paper will be dry enough. If it's still damp, you want to just make sure that it's dry when you put it through the blade.
Yes. We're gonna cut this into 1-inch strips, right? We want 1 inch?
You think that's going to be too thick?
Let's try.
Okay.
This is where our weaving comes in. I think that's perfect.
I think that's great. Okay.
So you will see what we mean by weaving. So we're gonna take this piece of paper and we're gonna cut it into 1-inch strips. I'm gonna cut a few and then I'll pass it along to you to do that. They don't have to be perfect because your paper is crumply. You do wanna do this before you actually cut your strips because it's easier when it's a whole thing. But if they're a little uneven because of the crumples in the paper, don't be worried because pies are not perfect, are they?
No, they're not.
So
They taste yummy though.
well, they do. That is true. All right, I think I'm gonna pass this over to you to cut the rest of those strips. And we're gonna pull in our pie. So we have our top and our bottom.
And I think you might want to sponge the edge of our pie crust.
Oh, you're correct. I forgot about that. So I want to take the toffee as well. Where's that all on? Well, actually, where's that? So this, I'm just gonna hold it up and do the edges. This it's not gonna be as much because it's gonna have some overlay as well, but just showing you that we can go around and ink a little bit on these edges. Perfect. It's very, very, very subtle. I don't know if you can really even see it, but that's okay. So I'm gonna take my pie and I'm going to glue it on first. Make sure I get those edges because I wanna make sure that it sticks. All right. And I'm gonna paste that down. Perfect. And then what I'm gonna do is we are going to be weaving. So it's gonna look so cool. This is where the fun part comes in. Are you ready to weave? So basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. We are weaving paper. So we're going to be going under and over and under and over and under. And we are going to do that for the whole entire pie. You can also glue down as you're doing this. It might actually be a lot easier. Should I do that? Should
Yes,
I glue
I
as I
think
go?
you should. Because your pie is getting...
Okay, but I just wanted to show the basic idea.
What April is doing now is she's just taking some larger flat glue dots and placing the the pastry,
Your weave.
your weave, thank you, your weave together. So you're not going to need a dot on every single piece, do you think? No. So
No,
I think
I'm basically putting it at the start of each.
this way you have something to work with and everything doesn't move all around.
Yes, exactly. I'm basically putting it at the spots where I actually put the paper down. So like here, I know I'm gonna need one because otherwise the paper will move on me. So if you also want to conserve paper while doing this, so you can, you know, continue going on your way and then make sure that you have some to fill in those extra spots. See how I'm putting this one to right to the edge and then putting it down? That way I can cut off this extra piece and then maybe use that as my last bottom row. Something like that. But what I'm kind of doing is I'm just pasting it down, and see, a lot of this is still freestanding, and then I'm gonna go back through and I'm gonna make sure that I paste everything down so it stays in the end. So basically, once you have everything down how you want it, we're just gonna flip it over, take our scissor. Why you sometimes see us switch back and forth between our non-stick and our regular scissor is because I like the non-stick is very, very good for, you know, non-stick surfaces. And not that these scissors have ever dulled on us, because honestly, we've had these scissors for so long and they're still super, super sharp. I just prefer to use the regular scissor when I'm not cutting sticky stuff. Would you agree, Mother?
Oh, yes. Definitely.
So it's always good to have both of them in your toolbox while scrapbooking. But I'm not being perfect with this because, once again, pies are not perfect. But as long as you have that outline, your base, you just gotta follow it a little bit and it will become your pie crust. So.
And we know we're going to be baking a lot of pies coming up.
Yes, it's my favorite holiday.
Thanksgiving?
Christmas.
I
But
know.
yes, we have to bake pies for Thanksgiving too. All right, move all that over. Look how cool this looks. So, isn't that amazing? So we are going to be going over this a little bit more, but we have pulled out our 3 texture pastes. I know we've showed you the opaque matte before, but we have 3 more as well. So we are actually going to be using our transparent glossy today. Just as a quick overview, I'm not really going to explain what I'm doing while I'm going over it because, once again, we will be doing this very, very shortly. But I am using our glossy one, and I'm using a little bit of our re-inker. I don't want to make it too red because we did use the two-tone.
And not only that, but the glossy, opposed to the opaque, is a little bit runnier. Not runnier, but the opaque is a very thick. So if you put a lot of
Gloss.
gloss in there, not gloss.
Oh, re-inker.
You put a lot of re-inker in there, it doesn't matter because it will hold it. The glossy one is a little bit looser, so it will get wetter.
So if you can see, what's going to be really cool when this dries is I'm not being the most neat about this because pies are not supposed to be neat, right, Mama?
Nope, and they bubble up through the crust.
So.
Oh man, I want to bake a pie now.
So also when I'm doing this, I actually didn't really glue in between my spots because I knew I was going to be throwing something inside of here. So I kind of made it so I can slip my texture tools down in between. Ooh, that was cool. Down in between there to make my pie. you're probably asking, why didn't you do this before, you know, you put this down? Cherry pies are not supposed to be, they're not supposed to be clean. So if you really wanted to and you wanted a clean pie, of course, put the paste down before you do your weaving, and that way you'll have a very clean pie.
And this mat cleans up perfectly. I did a whole bunch of little things with our texture pastes, all different, all 3 of them, and I didn't clean it at all in between because I wanted to see if the mat would come clean, and it was perfect. You let it dry, you take a paper towel once it's completely dry, and you just rub, you know, put a little rubbing in there action, and it just cleans right up.
Yes. So if you saw, I didn't actually put the paste, the texture tool that I was using back into the gloss because I don't want to contaminate my gloss with color. If you're just using regular gloss, of course, go ahead and use the same exact tool, but I am not, so. Also, if you really wanted to get it into some spots, don't be afraid to use your finger. You know, if you wanted to, like, if you had a lot in here and you wanted to smooth it out a little bit more.
She's just a kid.
I am. But, you know, I love using the texture tool. It's great to get them in there and, you know, get that mess. But if you wanted to also, like that one had a lot in it, wanted to spread it out a little bit, don't be afraid. Scrapbooking's not supposed to be neat, is it? Well, not my scrapbooking, that's for sure. But yeah, and look, and now you've got a cherry pie. And just so you know, this is what we are going to end up doing. So we took a piece of pewter because it's gonna be like our baking tray, and we're gonna put our pie on it. And then we're probably gonna be using this for waitress, like we said. So we'll probably, you know, put like waitress, our titles and all that stuff. Or we could take our thin cut alphabets and put waitress across the middle, which I think that would be really cool. So, or we could write sugar butter flour. Something like that. We'll do something cool.
Can you tell she's obsessed with that play?
So now we're going to take this and we're going to put it into our 6x12 flip flaps, and we will show you what that looks like. All right, so we have glued our pie and we've dried it, or it is dry. We actually use a hair dryer. You can do that, or you can let it dry naturally, but it looks so cool. And I'm gonna cut this at a 6-inch strip because remember, we want to put it into our flip flap. So before I cut it, I'm gonna see, do I want it like this? Or do I want it like this? I think this wins. And because it's a few papers thick, you might have to just go over it a few times with your blade. Like I said, a few times. And make sure that it cuts it through. All right. Well, it cut through the pie.
Uh-oh.
Strong little piece of paper. Okay, so if that ever happens, super easy fix. Flip over your paper. Sometimes paper like this is going to be thick, or you can take an X-Acto knife if you like X-Acto knives. But I trust my little handy dandy cutter here to get me through the day. Perfect. All right. I feel like I'm breaking the pie here. And then if anything like this happens, take your non-stick scissor and just help the cut along. So remember, our Close to My Heart paper is very, very thick. So do not be alarmed if that ever happens. See, look, 2 pieces of pie. Still very good cutter. And then remember, when you want to put them into your flip flaps, make sure that you have it as a pie opening. So I'm gonna place it like this over it before I actually put it into my flip flap. And then just gonna slip it in here.
And it will be a little thicker since we've added layers of paper in there.
But they do give you a little bit of
oh, yes.
a leeway in your flip-flops. So do not worry about that, but you might have to play with it a little bit. And there still is, sometimes when you also cut, make sure you can always glue those little flyaways now down. You still do have enough leeway to put another piece of paper in the back of this too when you actually flip it open. Look how cute that is.
It is cute.
And what my mom suggested, which we're going to end up doing, is we're gonna write what's inside. Cause how cute is that?
If you understand.
If you get waitress. So there's our pie, and then we're gonna attach this to our page protector. You can see how to do that in our old flip-flap book, our old flip-flap videos, yes. So make sure you go check those out. But that is our weave. And that's Technique Tuesday. We hope you enjoyed. Did you like our pies?
I got a piece of the pie.
Now I just really want to bake pies.
Mm-hmm. So do I.
So that was Technique Tuesday. We hope you enjoyed our weaving. We think it looks really, really cool in our flip-flaps and everything. And if you have any more questions about the glossy texture paste or any of the pastes, oh, you want to put it together? We will be doing a video next week on more of the glossy texture paste. So don't worry, it's coming at you. It won't take that long, we promise. So go eat some pie.
Yum.
Bye.
Bye.
Right in today. What?
This has to be turned
Oh,
over.
whoops, it flipped on me.
Oh,
No, it didn't.
Oh, wait, there's
Liar,
just no
liar,
ink on
pants
there.
on fire. She lied to me.